Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. What are we going to talk about this fine Sunday? Why don't we talk about Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou? Because it's one of those moments where you wake up the following day, you think, did I dream that? Francis Ngannou having his debut as a professional boxer, takes Tyson Fury, the lineal heavyweight champion. He's nothing of the sort, of course, if you understand boxing history and don't swallow Frank Warren and Bob Arum's bullshit. The lineal champion, the WBC champion, which he is. He should have been stripped of that as well, but for inactivity or whatever. But no, he's still a WBC champ. And Ngannou takes into a split decision defeat, really. But a lot of people are saying, no, Ngannou won that fight. I have absolutely no problem with people saying that Ngannou won that fight. I don't think he did. I scored it as I watched it live. I made Fury a 96-93 winner. That's 7 rounds to 3. 2 or 3 of those rounds were very close. They could have gone to Ngannou, which is why I have no problem with people saying Ngannou won. But I think there's an enormous overreaction as to the work Ngannou was doing in the ring, which, regardless of where he's come from, you have to judge anyone who's in a boxing match on what they're doing, not what the other guy's not doing. But also, of course, inevitably, you've had a lot of people coming out and saying this. First of all, Ngannou was robbed. He was not robbed. It was a close fight, whichever way you slice and dice it. The fix is in. Too much money on the table for Fury versus Usyk. No evidence whatsoever from these people. There are people in the world who, whenever you are faced with anything that is out of the ordinary, that is unusual, that kind of messes with their perception of reality, immediately it's a conspiracy theory. These are people who need to stick to their X-Files box sets and leave objective thinking to those capable of doing it, all right? Because they're not living in the real world. Why do you think he was robbed? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? No, tell me, why do you think he was robbed? Well, where's your evidence? Do you have any evidence? That little thing called evidence? Do you have any? And then they'll come up with some, they'll pick a load of random beliefs, if that's the word, probably isn't, stitch them together to create a picture that they feel is tells the true story. Again, without any evidence, any real evidence. So, if you don't go down the conspiracy theorist path, and hopefully you don't, why did this fight turn out to be what it was? Well, looking at it objectively, I would say this. I think it's pretty obvious that Tyson Fury came in out of shape, all right? Physically, we'll start with the physical stuff, all right? He looked overweight. Yes, he's carried that sort of weight before, but there was no definition to his body. He was fat and flabby around the middle. Mentally, he was saying beforehand, I'm not looking over Ngannou. I've been professional. I've had a 12-week camp. I don't know what he was doing in that 12-week camp, unless it was a fat camp. Well, he couldn't. He still didn't manage to take all the fat off. But mentally, it's impossible if you've signed to fight Usyk in an undisputed title fight against a man of that caliber. And regardless of what Fury says about Usyk being a middleweight and all that crap, he's not serious. He knows damn well Usyk is capable of beating him. He's not stupid. Fury might frequently be deluded, but he's not entirely stupid. Occasionally, reality will hit home. You can't avoid overlooking what's in front of you when you actually are looking beyond, and in fact you've made plans to do something else. So the attitude inevitably, even if it's subconscious, will be, I need to get this out of the way and then I can move on. That's the second or third reason, whatever we're on. The next reason is that Francis Ngannou took this fight deadly seriously. I knew nothing about Francis Ngannou before this fight other than what I'd read over the last few weeks. I know he's an MMA guy, a UFC champion, I believe. I'm purely a casual when it comes to MMA and UFC. I'm not knocking it. I've got great respect for those fighting men. And Ngannou clearly took this fight seriously. This is a man who weighed, what did he weigh, 270 roughly? Didn't have an ounce of fat on him. And he didn't, even though he was muscular, he didn't look like a bodybuilder. He wasn't carrying what you would necessarily call excess weight. Okay. Clearly he'd done his homework. Clearly he's boxed before, even if it's behind closed doors. Because his footwork, unlike a lot of MMA guys who try to move over to boxing, his footwork was very good. Well, that's very good, but it was presentable. He had the footwork of a boxer, not of an MMA striker. We know he hits hard. That goes without saying. His jab was good. Clearly he's been working on the jab. Bear in mind he had Dewey Cooper in the corner, who's a very, very good trainer. Quite an underrated trainer when he gets out of America. A lot of people overlook him as a trainer. He is very, very good. Clearly they've worked on the 10-round distance, which even though Ngannou is used to fight in 5-minute rounds, what is it, five fives in UFC, isn't it? So that's 25 minutes of fighting. This was 30 minutes of fighting. But you have your breaks in between. But it's a different type of stamina, a different type of gas tank, how you're going to preserve your energy and so on and so forth. And he must have surely accepted that he was in against an extremely big man. So I would imagine, again, I'm only guessing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that he did the proper sparring and the proper preparation. And as the old cliche goes, preparation, failure to prepare is preparation to fail. And there's another saying that I always get wrong, which is when talent doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent. I think something like that. Right. Someone should have told Tyson Fury that, because his performance, as woeful as it was, as forced as it was, as lacking in fluidity as it was, against a rank novice, clearly the difference in preparation, intent, and so on was glaringly evident. Ngannou had not come to turn up for his fat paycheck. He'd turned up to win. And that's the difference between, say, him and a lot of these other MMA guys. They get paid so badly, in UFC and MMA, certainly in UFC, because the amount of money they generate, they get crumbs off the banquet table, and we know where the rest of the money goes, to that bald prick. But yeah, so I think that those are the reasons. But let's not go too far here, okay? Francis Ngannou did himself proud, and his country proud, and his family proud by what he did against Fury. And again, I have no problem with someone saying he narrowly defeated Fury. No problem at all. He had him on the floor. Like I say, I scored it 96-93 for Fury, 7-3 in rounds. But 2 or 3 of those rounds could have gone either way. Look, I'm telling you what I scored it as I watched it live. I'm not going to rewrite history. I'm not going to lie to you. All right? Maybe if I watched it again, knowing the result, I'd be a bit more reticent and think, okay, maybe I'll give that to Ngannou. I've got to make this clear. I've got to make it close. No, I watched it live and scored it like one of the judges did, 96-93. But again, yeah, you can make a case where Ngannou won. But now I'm hearing that Ngannou is ready to take on Usyk. He's ready to take on AJ. He's ready to take on Frank Sanchez. He's a leading light in the heavyweight division. Don't get carried away, all right? Sometimes unusual things happen out of the blue. Sometimes the planets get aligned, whether it's Leicester City winning the Premiership or whatever other example you want to use. And also, just one final thing. Can you think of another debutant who has performed that well in the history of boxing? Now, a lot of people have said Pete Rademacher, who took on Floyd Patterson back in the 50s. It was his debut. He floored Patterson, but he got floored himself. I think it was 7 times and knocked out. He was also an Olympic gold medalist. So it's not like he hadn't boxed before. He boxed amateur extensively to the point where he'd won a gold medal. So I'm struggling to think of another example of whether someone has performed this well right off the bat. Ngannou is, how old is Ngannou? 35, something like that? 35, 36? I don't know. But could he win an English title, an area title? I know Eddie Hearn has said he couldn't, Johnny Fisher would beat Francis Ngannou. I'd like to see that fight, actually. But no, let's not get carried away here. Let's not get carried away. Ngannou did himself proud, but the idea that he is now a world-class heavyweight because he went life and death with, this for many people's opinion, the best heavyweight in the world. Let's not say he can cut a swathe through the whole damn lot of them. No. People now know what Ngannou's about, and if there was a rematch between Fury and Ngannou, Fury wouldn't take it lightly, would he? He absolutely wouldn't. There's also been talk of, is Fury shot? I think he's probably past his best, certainly, that's just my opinion, but I don't think he's shot. I think this is a case of him taking an opponent lightly, very, very lightly, and so nearly coming a cropper. Anyway, a few opinions for you to sift through. Give me your opinions below. And of course, as I always say, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button as well. And I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I'll answer as many as I can. And yeah, I always appreciate your time. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.